This is NetRush Report, bringing you the latest drama, controversy, and emotion from the world of tennis. And today's story? It's about how one seemingly fun idea has spiraled into one of the most debated events in modern tennis. Kyrgios and Aryna Sabalenka are officially set to face off in the latest edition of the Battle of the Sexes, an exhibition match scheduled for December 28, 2025, at the Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai. The event is being organized and sponsored by Evolve, the sports management company co-founded by Naomi Osaka, a name that alone guarantees global attention at first glance. The idea sounded like entertainment gold. Two of the sport's biggest personalities, one court, and a gender rivalry theme that taps into one of the most famous tennis moments of all time. But the internet didn't see it that way. Within hours of the announcement, tennis fans and former pros started blasting the event, calling it a mockery, a cash grab, and a tone-deaf replay of something that once mattered deeply. So what's really going on here? Why has this simple exhibition turned into a full-blown controversy? To understand that, we have to rewind 5 decades, to the original Battle of the Sexes that changed sports forever. The year was 1973. Bobby Riggs, a retired men's champion from the 1940s who once held 6 Grand Slam titles, decided to make headlines again. At 55 years old, he openly declared that women's tennis was inferior and that even at his age, he could easily beat the best female players in the world. At first, he challenged Billie Jean King, who turned him down. Then he set his sights on Margaret Court, who accepted. Court, one of the dominant figures in women's tennis, had just returned to competition after giving birth to her first child. The result? Riggs humiliated her 6-2, 6-1. The match, played on Mother's Day, was later nicknamed the Mother's Day Massacre. Riggs, now fueled by arrogance and public attention, went back to King with more taunts, and this time, Billie Jean accepted. The rematch was unlike anything sports had ever seen. In September 1973, inside the Houston Astrodome, 30,000 fans filled the stadium, and an estimated 90 million people tuned in around the world. It wasn't just about tennis anymore. It was about respect, equality, and the power of women's sports. King, knowing the symbolic weight of the moment, delivered a masterclass. She beat Riggs in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, 6-3, and her victory instantly became a cultural turning point. It wasn't just a win. It was a statement. That night, Billie Jean King didn't just defeat an opponent. She defeated decades of sexism in sports. The original Battle of the Sexes ignited global conversations about equal pay, athletic opportunity, and the future of women's tennis. It directly fueled the push that led to equal prize money at major tournaments like the US Open. Later, in 1992, another version was staged, the so-called Battle of the Champions, between Martina Navratilova and Jimmy Connors. Connors won 7-5, 6-2, but it was mostly treated as entertainment, not a social milestone. Fast forward to today, and that's where Kyrgios and Sabalenka come in. When Naomi Osaka's Evolve announced that their clients Kyrgios and Aryna Sabalenka would face off, it was initially marketed as a fun, modern twist on tennis history, something to celebrate both men's and women's excellence. But not everyone was celebrating. Critics quickly pointed out that the new Battle of the Sexes had none of the historical weight, emotional stakes, or social context that made the 1973 version iconic. Rennie Stubbs, former pro and ex-coach of Serena Williams, didn't mince words. She called the event irrelevant and a meaningless money-making gimmick. She argued that, unlike Billie Jean King's match, which symbolized progress, this one does nothing for gender equality and instead trivializes it. Paul McNamee, another respected voice in Australian tennis, echoed her thoughts. He revealed that organizers were even modifying the match conditions. Kyrgios will be allowed only one serve, and the court dimensions will be slightly altered to favor Sabalenka. McNamee said the gimmicks only make the match less legitimate and reduce it to a publicity stunt. Even George Carmi, a well-known tennis insider, joined the criticism. He questioned Kyrgios' inclusion, citing the Aussie's past remarks about equal pay, comments that didn't exactly align with the message this event is supposed to promote. According to Carmi, putting Kyrgios in this role sends the wrong message. It could even hurt women's tennis in the long run. For Aryna Sabalenka, the reigning world number one and one of the sport's most dominant figures, her participation is a mystery to many that she's at the top of her career, winning Grand Slams, leading the WTA rankings, and commanding a powerful presence on and off the court. Many believe she has nothing to gain by playing a match that risks turning her achievements into sideshow material. Kyrgios, meanwhile, hasn't played a full competitive season since his breakout run in 2022. Between injuries and controversy, he's become as famous for his off-court headlines as his tennis. From his brutally honest podcast moments to his explosive on-court tantrums, Kyrgios thrives on chaos. And this event, as polarizing as it is, fits perfectly into his unpredictable brand. For NAOMI Osaka's Evolve, the event also functions as a brand showcase, featuring two of its biggest stars in a globally broadcasted spectacle that guarantees attention, if not approval, at its core. This controversy isn't just about a tennis match. It's about meaning. The original battle of the sexes meant something. It represented a fight for fairness in a time when women athletes were systematically dismissed. Today, women's tennis has achieved global respect, equal prize money, and some of the biggest audiences in the sport. Critics argue that redoing the concept, especially with a player like Kyrgios, who's been out of form and surrounded by controversy, cheapens that legacy. On the other hand, some fans argue that this match could still be fun, a lighthearted way to celebrate both tours and draw attention to tennis during the off-season. Still, even among those fans, there's a growing sense that the symbolism is misplaced. And so, will this new battle of the sexes in Dubai live up to its legacy? Probably not. Even if the match delivers entertainment, it's hard to see how it could ever capture the gravity, courage, and impact of what Billie Jean King did in 1973. But one thing's for sure, whether fans love it or hate it, Kyrgios and Aryna Sabalenka have already achieved one thing. Everyone's talking about it. And in today's world, maybe that was the real goal all along. This is NetRush Report, your home for everything tennis. The matches, the mind games, and the moments that make headlines. Stay tuned. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that serve you the truth, fast and unfiltered.